Could be off on a wilderness adventure or maybe just a walk in the woods. Either way, if you become lost or disoriented, you could be in serious trouble. Would you know what to do to keep warm, to stay alive when temperatures plunge and rescue is nowhere in sight? Rob Stafford went into the woods, into the cold, to find out what you need to do to get out alive.
It's almost commonplace. Rescuers racing against the clock to find people lost or stranded in the wilderness. And for every success story, there are tales of those who don't make it back. More than 170 in 1998 alone. It's a big problem. The National Park Service alone conducts more than 4,000 search and rescues annually. And in the winter, freezing temperatures make that job even more difficult. Tonight, we'll show you how to stay warm and alive in the wilderness long enough for help to arrive. Hey, Cody. How you doing? Our guide, survival instructor Cody Lundeen.
I'd like to say it's good to see you, but I foresee misery and pain in the next 24 hours.
You're right.
He and I have some history together.
The main thing is to wake up alive the next morning. Okay?
Last year, Lundeen showed us how to survive in the middle of nowhere with no supplies. We built a fire.
Never, ever take fire for granted.
Learned to use what we found.
Water out of a used iced tea can. I never thought it'd taste so good.
Sampled the local cuisine.
Chew them.
Just down it.
And slept out under the stars.
Sleeping is not going to be happening tonight. I can tell you that.
But winter survival is a different and more dangerous ballgame. To show us how to survive, Lundeen took me to the snow-capped San Francisco peaks near Flagstaff, Arizona. Up here at 9,000 feet, the mountain becomes a maze of spruce and birch. Lundeen leads me on a half-hour hike, and before I know it, I've lost my bearings, and help is nowhere in sight. All I have is the clothes on my back. I'll have to survive on what I find.
All right, it's 10:30 in the morning, and I am lost again. Where do I start?
Pretty much same scenario as last time. We're going to need to find a shelter spot. It's going to be a long, cold night, and one of your first priorities is going to be fire. You've got to make a fire tonight in order to get by at all.
Okay.
Remember, if I don't have shelter tonight, I could freeze to death. So we set off in search of a good spot.
Man, that snow is deep.
We're looking for a place with some tree cover canopy on the top that's fairly level.
Lundeen says look for an elevated, flat area. Tree cover provides insulation. And if it's clear of snow, so much the better.
A dry spot. I could sleep there, right?
Yeah, potentially.
I've found my spot. Now it's time to gather supplies. But trudging through deep snow is hard work. 1 hour in, and I'm already exhausted.
Yeah, I find myself in a hurry.
Lundeen says it's common to panic and try to get things done fast. But if you're sweating out there, that moisture in your clothes could freeze later on tonight. Instead, mellow out. Only work at 60% of your full effort. Another common mistake, trying to get unlost.
I put a lot of effort into this. Wouldn't it be smarter for me to be spending this time trying to find my way out of here or signal for help?
The reason you're spending energy now, Rob, is you know you're going to have to hunker in because no one's looking for you right now. The thing that's going to kill you tonight is if you're not prepared for the night. And wandering around out here, you're going to start to panic. And at the end of the day, you're going to have only thing to show for it is you'll be dehydrated, exhausted, your clothes will be wet with sweat, and you'll have nothing, no shelter, no fire, nothing. That's a setup for death.
It's time to build a fire.
Look out.
For that, I'll need fuel, and lots of it. In all, I knocked down at least 30 dead trees. Sounds like a lot, but it's better to have too much fuel. Once night falls, it'll be tough to gather more. But all this work is making me thirsty. This shouldn't be a worry since I'm surrounded by water. A nibble now and then is fine, but Lundeen says eating lots of snow is a common and potentially deadly mistake. Snow is mostly air. Your body has to work hard to turn it into water, and that can lower your body temperature.
I mean, we're talking about eating massive amounts of snow, dropping it right down into your core, 98.6.
Not good. So I soldier on. Lundeen shows me how to build a bed out of logs and tree boughs.
This will be a great piece for a bed.
2 big trees make the sides of the bed. Inside, I pile dozens of soft tree boughs.
Just to flop that right down here.
Now, this isn't just for comfort.
Perfect.
The earth can sap your heat at night. It's important to get something between you and the ground.
Oh yeah, it's just as comfortable as you said it would be.
Oh, and then some.
Now it's time to finish building my fire. I gather some smaller sticks and strip some dry, dead bark off the trees. We build a teepee fire, just like in the Boy Scouts.
This is too big.
Last time out, Lundeen showed me how to make fire with 2 sticks, but it's very difficult and takes a long time.
It's not there.
Not gonna happen. Okay.
This time
Use that
around, I'm
liberally.
happy to accept
This is
some
too
help.
big right now.
Lundeen gives me a magnesium strip, my only concession to being prepared. It can be found just about anywhere you buy camping gear and is better than a match because it makes a spark even when wet.
Here we go.
It takes a bit of work, but after a few minutes, I've got a fire. But without a container, I'll have to improvise.
So what do we have here? We got some socks here that are cotton. Maybe we could take some snow, fill one of those socks, suspend it over some coals on the fire, and just get it to drip enough to where you can squeeze that sock and siphon some water out. Or we could
Not
try
an
to help
appetizing thought, but I've gone 7 hours without water, so I'm willing to give it a try.
Have you done this before?
No.
So
Have
this
you?
is a first even for no. Nor will I do it again.
After a little effort, it works.
I'm getting a drink.
But it's not very efficient. I decide to use my foot gaiter, which has been keeping my boots dry all day, as a cup, dripping in water from the sock. This works better. From one sock, I get about half a cup of water.
Tastes good?
Not really.
By now, shadows in the forest are lengthening. Night is falling, and the temperature begins to plummet. By late tonight, the wind chill will be well below freezing. But with my fire, I'm comfortable, even warm.
Where would I be right now without this fire?
In dire straits, you know, especially as the time goes by. Another hour gets colder, another hour gets colder. You'd be a hurting unit.
I mean, how would I get through the night?
You probably have to exercise. Isometrics, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, something that, you know, you chew up a lot of body energy, but that would be our only choice. And improvise something with the insulation we have here.
But thanks to my fire, I didn't have to worry about that, or about wild animals, which tend to steer clear of the flames. That night, I sleep fairly soundly. The temperature by the fire reaches up into the 70s. By the next morning, I'm in pretty good shape.
The fire made all the difference in the world. It was a long night, but I was able to sleep a fair amount. I could sleep for like 30 or 45 minutes at a time, and the fire would be hot enough to keep me warm enough to sleep for that period.
Now the only thing left to do is get rescued. The best way is with ground-to-air signals. Lundeen shows me a simple one. Stamp out a big X in the snow. Then lay some tree boughs in the depression. This contrast can be seen from far away.
Just kind of pack them up into a dome.
Next, Lundeen shows me how to build a signal fire. We build another teepee suspended off the snow. This time, instead of dry logs, we pile green vegetation on top.
Get it nearer to the opening and then blow.
I take an ember from my campfire and bring it over. Once the fire gets going, the green tree boughs start smoking. A lot.
Good, good.
Here we go.
Perfect.
Once the smoke clears the treetops, it can be seen by rescuers.
On my trip, I deliberately went out with minimal supplies. But if you go out even on a short hike, you should always have a source of fire, some water, warm clothing in layers, and some non-perishable snacks. It's also a good idea to bring a compass, a map of the area, and a cell phone. Now, it may not work where you're going, but if it does, it could be a lifesaver. And always remember to tell someone where you're going and when you expect to be back. That way, if you do get lost, rescuers will know where to look.
If you do get lost, don't try to find your way out. Find some shelter and hunker down. Try to get a fire going. Once you're settled, work on signaling for rescue. But remember, don't sweat. Work at 60% effort. Use your head and save your strength, and you should get out alive.